Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed. The suspect is Supervisor Dan White.
The American embassy in Tehran is in the hands of Muslim students tonight, spurred on by an anti-American speech by the Ayatollah Khomeini.
I see pictures of them being blindfolded. I haven't seen my husband in those, but my heart aches for them.
This is the situation. Very early this morning, there had been a United States effort to rescue the American hostages in Tehran, but that the effort failed. 8 servicemen were killed.
Attention all units, the former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody.
Dan, why are you doing? Dan, why?
It struck me about what Harvey had tried to do, and he was all smiles and stuff, and I went in, and then that was it. Then I just shot him.
I feel guilty even having the damn interview because at times like this, when you realize what is important and what isn't important, the game we play isn't important. My great-grandfather was at Pearl Harbor, and a lot of my family has given up, has gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a damn thing as far as laying myself on the line.
He was wounded. My God. He was... the president was hit.
Now, if Dan White wants to save himself from the death penalty, he's going to have to prove that he didn't plan to kill anyone that day.
You told the jury that although he had the gun with him, the .38, he had no intention of shooting anyone at City Hall. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you know if the other people who do carry weapons also carry 10 extra rounds in their pocket?
Police officers on or off duty carry extra ammunition, yes.
And that is also why you say he reloaded after shooting Mayor Moscone?
That is what I said, yes.
Clarify that, though, because of his experience as an ex-police officer.
Yes, I think it was more instinctive than anything else.
I'll go talk to him. I said, at least maybe he'll be honest with me. And I went in, he just kind of smirked at me, as if to say, too bad. And then I just got all flushed and hot, and I shot him.
Yes, the jury has found Dan White guilty of voluntary manslaughter.
That's a verdict that carries 2, 3, or 4 years on each of those counts.
By about 11:20, things have gone from good to bad to good and to very bad. There is a narrow perimeter of shaky policemen on my left over here in front of City Hall. Behind them are the demonstrators, and sometimes in the midst of them are the demonstrators. Every once in a while, a demonstrator, a protester will come out of the crowd, throw a piece of burning material into a police car and start it on fire.
There is no room worldwide for terrorism. There will be no negotiation with terrorists of any kind.
Across the United States, though, where we show Jimmy Carter's states that he's won in red, you see there aren't many there, just 6 of them altogether. And for Reagan, well, it's a different story. They're shown in blue, and this country is almost solidly in the Reagan colors tonight.
Ronald Wilson Reagan, a sports announcer, a film actor, a governor of California, is our winner.
Some 30 minutes ago, the planes bearing our prisoners left Iranian airspace and are now free.
There are already laws on the books to protect our children. Everybody from Superintendent of Schools Wilson Riles to Jerry Brown to newspaper editors across the state agree that indeed we have the laws to protect our children. I was born of heterosexual parents. I was taught by heterosexual teachers in a fiercely heterosexual society with television ads and newspaper ads, fiercely heterosexual, a society that puts down homosexuality. And why am I homosexual if I'm affected by role models? I should have been a heterosexual, and no offense meant. But if teachers are going to affect you as role models, there'd be a lot of nuns running around the streets today.
This merriment and gaiety, if you pardon the pun, is the man standing to my right, the first gay supervisor elected in San Francisco. His name is Harvey Milk. First of all, congratulations, and I've never seen anything like this, Harvey.
Oh, it's all over the city tonight.
What does this mean, your election, your activity now on the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco? Does that mean, as many straights are concerned, maybe the gays are taking over San Francisco?
This will be the first time in many years that we've seen so many relatively new faces on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. And this is probably because it's the first time in a long time that supervisors have been elected by district instead of citywide. Harvey Milk, a homosexual, the first avowed women's rights advocate, the first Chinese American, the first black woman, and Dan White, a city fireman who gave up his job to take his seat.
Supervisor Milk took to the grassy lawn at Dubois Park this afternoon to publicize the new law. Under the ordinance, dog lovers who don't clean up can be fined.
I think what would happen is what happened in New York, that people use their own ingenuity, their own ideas, their own concepts.
Milk put his foot down to emphasize that the city intends to enforce, and you guessed it, in Supervisor Milk's words, this really is the bottom line.
The biggest crime in this city is the fact that there's some government elected officials who don't care about senior citizens.
We're interviewing Harvey Milk. What's it like being a so-called in-person as opposed to having been an out-person for a number of years?
Being one of them?
Yes.
Incredible. The establishment, the white power establishment, non-gay, have to deal with me. It's an incredible position.
Dan White has worked and lived virtually all his 31 years in this southeastern section of San Francisco.
The neighborhood problems are the city's problems. You see, the transportation, the crime, the education, the taxes, these are problems that we're all going to have to solve.
Clean-cut, respectful to his elders, and seemingly possessed of small-town values. When was the last time you heard a San Francisco politician talk about setting up neighborhood athletic teams?
And then when we get the best team, we will challenge, say, Harvey Milk's district to a game of softball.
What the gay rights ordinance in San Francisco, the main focus is to prevent the people who are already employed, who are gay, who, if they want to come out and break down the stereotypes, prevents them from being fired. You'll see in this Gay Day parade a group of at least 30 gay doctors. That is the tip of the iceberg. In the Bay Area, there are hundreds and hundreds of gays, most of whom are closeted because of fear of loss of jobs. In San Francisco, they can, quote, come out and not have to worry about their jobs.
Supervisor White says people are getting angry, and he believes that anger could lead to a backlash that will wipe out all of the gains the gays have made thus far.
You can have someone that's a transvestite, a man that, for his sexual kicks or orientation, whatever you want to call it, loves to dress up as a woman.
If he is a qualified teacher, he can go into any school or he can go into any business, and they can't refuse him.
Level, I think it's vital that the minorities, the traditional ethnic minorities, and the gays, and the feminists link together to form a very solid, strong coalition so that we can influence the total direction of the city.
And the polls show that the anti-gay initiative is winning in the polls by a 63% margin. People are fed up. They want order to their society.
No, they don't. People are not fed up. There are certain people who are bigots, who are racists, who are fed up.
Okay, I guess what I want to get is a feel for what is happening. Why an anti-gay initiative?
Every group has the same problem, is that rather than go out and do something positive, there are people within every group who look at those who have accomplished something and sit there and criticize. But let's look at the facts. In essence, what has happened is that we've gone, the progressive liberal movement of this nation, of the human rights movement, has gone 6 steps forward and 1 step backwards. I think that if more people got involved on every level, this nation would be a lot better off.
Mr. Mayor, what's happened since Dan White has resigned? I understand you're getting a lot of phone calls and such.
The phone calls and cards and letters have been coming. I will tell you, as Dean Martin used to say, I was lobbied from just about the evening that Dan White resigned all the way through the weekend, and the phones have been ringing off the hook today.
Well, now it starts all over again, because this morning, former Supervisor Dan White says he wants to be called Supervisor one more time.
White was at City Hall with his group of backers, some citizens, firemen, and a delegation representing large real estate firms.
I didn't run for election to resign 10 months later. I worked awfully hard. My wife and my supporters worked awfully hard so that I would be elected. And it was a major decision, as you can all understand, on Friday that I had to come to arrive at. But since that time, people unknown to me, plus my family and friends, have come to me and stated that they want me to stay in office, that they supported me to stay in office.
Our city has adjusted well to the new system of supervisors elected by district.
I think a 10-month supervisor can be excused for political naivete. I'm simply saying that it may not have been the best way to go, but the issue is bigger than his style. The issue is what's fair, right, and just for the people of the District 8.
Many don't agree with Dan White. They say he gave up all of his political chits when he resigned so quickly without making any arrangements for someone whom he liked and supported to take over this district. In Supervisor District 8, I'm David Fowler, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
we have just gotten news across the wire that both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot. I really don't have any more information. I was just given the information just a few seconds before we... So all of you, turn on your radios. Maybe you'll find out some more news. I hope it's nothing that's serious.
Code 3, room 200. I'm in the mayor's office.
301, 1023 for 1 moment. We're trying to ascertain what is happening. Room 237, please. Quick.
An ambulance over here.
Get an ambulance.
A unit over here.
Get another ambulance over here.
Yeah, where are the victims going?
I don't know if they're going anywhere. It's supposed to, Harvey Milk and the mayor is supposed to be DOA.
As president of the board, as president of the Board of Supervisors, it's my duty to make this announcement. Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed. The suspect is Supervisor Dan White. Supervisor Dan White. Supervisor Dan White.
Attention all units. Suspect named Dan White. White male adult, 32 years, 6 feet, 185 pounds, wearing a 3-piece brown suit, considered armed and dangerous. Attention all units. Former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody. Repeating, former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody. KMA 43 clear. Dan, what are you doing?
Finally tonight, a few words about Pat Tillman, the young man who gave up a lucrative NFL career to join the Army Rangers and fight abroad. When he died in action in Afghanistan, our government said he was killed by enemy fire and led an all-out effort to lionize him. Problem is, we've since learned it was all a well-crafted lie. Tillman was killed by his own men, and Washington knew it. Finally, echoing a belief that many have felt for some time, Tillman's parents over the weekend told the Washington Post that the military and the Bush administration disrespected their son, that they created a heroic tale about their son simply to foster a patriotic response across the country. Ever anxious to wrap itself in the flag, the NFL, of course, bought the government's lie without question and covered stadiums last year with flyovers, decals, and anything else they felt could generate tears from fears. That we were all played for suckers is as instructive as it is disgusting. But here's hoping it in no way reflects poorly on Tillman or memories of him. May he and his legacy finally rest in peace.
He makes up for in heart.
There's a guy that has had a phenomenal year. At 5'11", 204 pounds, playing the outside linebacker position. He's only first on the team in interceptions, second in total tackles.
Pat Tillman knocked the helmet.
I try to be prepared. I try to know, what I'm getting into.
Great year for Pat Tillman.
I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die. Live.
say your prayers. And we're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor. Now, stay calm, stay calm.
What the hell happened? Smoke, really big. I understand that, sir. We're on the way. Just try to hang it there. I'm going to save it.
I feel guilty even having the damn interview because at times like this, when you realize what is important and what isn't important, the game we play isn't important, you stop and think about just how, not only how good we have it, but what kind of a system we live under, what freedoms were allowed. My great-grandfather was at Pearl Harbor, and a lot of my family has given up, you know, has gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a damn thing as far as laying myself on the line like that, and so I have a great deal of respect for those that have and what the flag stands for.
Imagine those 19 hijackers with other weapons and other plans, this time armed by Saddam Hussein. Tonight I have a message for the members of the American Armed Forces. Many of you are assembling in or near the Middle East. Sending Americans into battle is the most profound decision a president can make. The technologies of war have changed. The risks and suffering of war have not.
We are 6 miles out.
Copy 6 miles. Let me know when you see the target area and I'll start the ball down. Firm, you're not cleared to fire until I tuck your eyes onto that rectangular shaped building. Just to let you know, we suspect it is a mosque at this point.
The square building is the mosque or is it
the rectangle? The rectangle.
Rectangular building is the mosque.
Roger that. Copy. Not cleared to fire until we have your permission. One of the vehicles is moving right now.
One, you are now clear to engage the moving vehicle. Any personnel around you see?
Yes, there are personnel. Clear to engage us also.
Affirmative. More movers, another vehicle, and more people clear to engage all those.
Copy. There are people coming out of the mosque right now.
Continue engaging.
Continue engaging.
Yeah, I got that guy too.
I saw him die. It was a 40 round.
I pulled up and look around here. I know there's two guys. I saw them flying apart.
There's a personnel right there. Get that person.
Guy's moving.
Yeah, he is. Ready into the mosque. Wildfire, we cleared on the building.
You're cleared on the big square building. You can go ahead and level it.
Roger that. You are cleared to level the building.
the game we play isn't important. But for us, it makes us feel like, we're going out, we're having a practice, we're doing what we can to, at least attitude-wise, like screw them, we're moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here tonight to join in celebration of American sportsmanship and our precious way of life, and in honor of the many thousands of men and women who have served our nation and continue to serve our nation, please stand, remove your hats, as we present the colors of our country and the performance of our national anthem.
National anthem is about a 10, actually. I get fired up for that. For whatever reason, I have a patriotic bone to me. So I really, emotionally, I actually let myself go for that, but then I come right back down.
For the past 3 months, I've been silent on the revelations about Iran. And you must have been thinking, well, why doesn't he tell us what's happening? Why doesn't he just speak to us as he has in the past when we've faced troubles or tragedies? Others of you, I guess, were thinking, what's he doing hiding out in the White House? Well, the reason I haven't spoken to you before now is this. You deserve the truth. And as frustrating as the waiting has been, I felt it was improper to come to you with sketchy reports or possibly even erroneous statements, which would then have to be corrected, creating even more doubt and confusion. There's been enough of that. A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not. As the Tower Board reported, what began as a strategic opening to Iran deteriorated in its implementation into trading arms for hostages.
expect the Shah to maintain power in Iran and for the present problems in Iran to be resolved. The Shah has our support, and he also has our confidence.
There are some dissidents here who would like to kick you out. 12 are in jail. A couple of them are going to be put to death.
And 6 more will be shot.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir?
No, I must admit that it's the first time I hear that.
Truly?
Yes? What is it?
This secret study portrays the Shah as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests.
I know. So you would like me to be your stooge? America gave us generous and valuable financial and military assistance, for which I wish to express to you our deep gratitude and sincerest thanks.
The Shah is an uncertain ally.
Good evening. Now we know the United States has passed the word to the Shah of Iran. It's time for him to leave his country. This is not being said publicly, but officials here in Washington are confirming it privately.
The U.S. has denied a direct involvement in the Shah's travel plans, but when the final decision to leave was made, the Shah was able to quickly charter an Evergreen International DC-8 jet. Evergreen International is a former CIA operation.
There might have been tears in the eyes of the Shah as he left Iran, but there was nothing but sheer delight on the faces of the demonstrators who took to the streets of the capital in their thousands to celebrate the departure of the man they have hated for so long. It must be remembered that the hurricane of noise that fills Tehran this afternoon is not just for the departure of the Shah, but for the expected arrival here of the exiled religious leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, the Ayatollah Khomeini, the Ayatollah Khomeini.
A triumphant and tumultuous welcome in Tehran today by more than 1 million Iranians for the Ayatollah Khomeini, returning home from 15 years of exile. He demanded that the government resign at once or face arrest, and that foreigners, especially Americans, get out.
The embassy in Tehran is in the hands of Muslim students tonight. Spurred on by an anti-American speech by the Ayatollah Khomeini, the students want the deposed Shah returned to Iran for trial.
I see pictures of them being blindfolded. I haven't seen my husband in those, but my heart aches for them.
Late yesterday, I canceled a carefully planned operation which was underway in Iran. Equipment failure in the rescue helicopters made it necessary to end the mission. As our team was withdrawing, 2 of our American aircraft collided on the ground in a remote desert location in Iran.
This is the situation. Very early this morning, there had been a United States effort to rescue the American hostages in Tehran, but that the effort failed. A C-130 cargo plane crashed into an American helicopter. 8 servicemen were killed.
I never forget one moment that I'm awake about the hostages whose lives and whose safety depend on me. And I am pursuing every possible avenue to have the hostages released.
Everyone here wants to go home. I don't know what negotiations are towards this, what's happening between the Iranian students and the American government.
I am here to announce my intention to seek the Republican nomination for President of the United States.
Now, I know people have been telling me that Jimmy Carter's doing his best, and that's our problem.
I believe that this administration's foreign policy helped create the entire situation that made their kidnap possible. And I think the fact that they've been there that long is a humiliation and a disgrace to this country.
The eyes of the country tonight are on the hostages in Iran. Do you have a policy for dealing with terrorism?
We had adequate warning that there was a threat to our embassy, and we could have done what other embassies did, either strengthen our security there or remove our personnel before the kidnap and the takeover took place.
Carter, you have a minute for rebuttal.
Okay. I didn't hear any comment from Governor Reagan about what he would do to stop or to reduce terrorism in the future.
There you go again. There is no room worldwide for terrorism. There will be no negotiation with terrorists of any kind.
I think habitually, Governor Reagan has advocated the injection of military forces into troubled areas.
America has never gotten in a war because we were too strong. We can get into a war by letting events get out of hand until we're faced each time with a crisis.
Across the United States, though, where we show Jimmy Carter's states that he's won in red, you see there aren't many there, just 6 of them altogether. And for Reagan, well, it's a different story. They're shown in blue, and this country is almost solidly in the Reagan colors tonight.
Ronald Wilson Reagan, a sports announcer, a film actor, governor of California, is our winner.
Some 30 minutes ago, the planes bearing our prisoners left Iranian airspace.
41 minutes after Ronald Reagan was sworn in as this country's 40th president, the American hostages in Iran began their flight to freedom, their way lit only by the moon.
We have every right to dream heroic dreams. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. I'll confess that I've been a little afraid to suggest what I'm going to suggest. Can we begin our crusade, join together in a moment of silent prayer?
We will not negotiate now or ever. And on these principles, there will be no compromise.
Wall Street traders saw little in the president's inaugural speech to encourage hope of quick economic improvement. The market was down sharply in active trading. Iranian negotiator told his countrymen today that the agreement was an Iranian victory. As he put it, Iran, quote, managed to rub in the dirt the nose of the world's biggest oppressor and superpower, unquote. But the terms of the agreement make it clear there has been no U.S. surrender. It's a straight swap of frozen assets owned by Iran for the freedom of the hostages.
Today, death came to the Shah, not through the vengeance of his subjects, but as it does to ordinary man. At the age of 60, the Shah of Iran died of cancer.
We want him back. The return of the Shah, the return of his wealth, these things can be done simultaneously.
President Sadat of Egypt says that what you are doing now is, quote, a disgrace to Islam. And he calls you, Imam, a lunatic. Yes, that's what I heard President Sadat say on American television, that the Imam is a disgrace to Islam, and he used the word a lunatic.
The Egyptian people do not back Sadat.
I demand that Egyptian people try to overthrow him just as we did with the Shah. Try to overthrow him just as we did with the Shah. Try to overthrow him just as we did with the Shah.
Sadat states he is a Muslim, and we are not. He is not, for he compromises with the enemies of Islam.
The Shah had done our bidding, and I did think that we let him down. Have things gotten better? The Shah, whatever he might have done, was building low-cost housing, had taken land away from the mullahs and was distributing it to the peasants so they could be landowners, things of that kind. But we turned it over to a maniacal fanatic who has slaughtered thousands and thousands of people, calling it executions.
Reagan has been shot once, left side of the chest.
He was wounded. My God. He was, the president was hit.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
There has been an attempt on the life of President Kennedy.
That we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction.
Folks, the cancer has been in remission for 4 years, but our cancer has now returned, meaning me.
You saw the speed and the acceleration of Lance Armstrong.
Armstrong complete control. What a great bike rider!
Those critics who are so pessimistic about our economy, I say, don't be economic girly man.
Never before has California elected a governor this way.
A landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
Most of you won't recognize me or my real name. It's Norma McCorvey. I'm also known as Jane Roe, the plaintiff in the Supreme Court case, Roe v. Wade.
The Negro still is not free.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Governor of the State of New York.
A man once known as the Sheriff of Wall Street, Elliot Spitzer, was brought down by his involvement in a prostitution scandal.
I can and will ask no less of myself. I am resigning from the office of governor.
Here is a guy who had almost an Elliot Ness type reputation.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you tonight everything's fine. I don't know that everything is fine.
Brockovich spoke with residents after the EPA said there was no connection with dozens of cases of brain tumors.
I will try to restore some dignity to the community.
Any single neighborhood issue or city issue for the last 5 years, you found Harvey Milk taking a stand, one way or the other, but taking a stand.
Former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody.
Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
Almost everything was done in the eyes of the gay movement.
For whatever reason, I have a patriotic bone to me.
One coalition soldier was killed. The coalition soldier who died has been identified as Specialist Patrick Tillman.
At times like this, when you realize what is important and what isn't important,
The game we play isn't important.